I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness in midlife.
The balanced, no-nonsense way. So it's Mental Health Week, James.
It is, and what a great topic to start with for our first Midlife Mentors podcast.
Yeah, it is, because most people that have ever come to our retreats or that we coach are really coming, actually, not just for a fitness holiday, it's more for a complete mental reset as well. So it's around their mental health for sure.
I'll say people are often manifesting with something else, like a physical aspect, like their fitness is gone, or they want to improve their body in some way. But actually, when you dig deep, when we do the mindset workshops, we find out that there's actually quite a big mental issue going on there for a lot of people.
Well, yeah, because our clients are obviously midlife. That's what we are. We're the midlife mentors, and a majority of our clients are of that age. And it's an incredibly stressful age. We're called Generation X, but more generation squeezed more than anything.
That's right, and I think that's borne out by the stats we're seeing these days with increased antidepressant usage, increased self-medication, inappropriate behaviours, etc., etc.
Inappropriate behaviours. Now, what would that be, James?
Well,
we won't go into that. We'll save you that. But yeah, I mean, it's becoming the antidepressant use and addiction to painkillers actually is in the highest rise between our group of people. So our midlifers, there's a massive increase in use of antidepressants and painkillers, which says a lot.
of course, a midlife is a challenging time anyway, right? You referred to their generation squeeze. Often there are kids that are dependent on you. Often you've got parents still dependent on you who've perhaps got health worries. At the same time, we call it a midlife crisis for a reason.
Yeah.
People are actually questioning, what am I here for? What am I doing? What's it all about? What have I done with my life?
Yeah, looking back and going, am I happy with what's come before all of this?
Yeah. And I think what's tricky in tandem with those kind of big philosophical questions is the slowing down of the body's natural processes, and we actually end up starting to notice that our bodies aren't responding how they used to or how we'd want them to in an ideal world.
And that's a lot to do around stress as well, right? Because, as you mentioned, we maybe have younger children, we have aging parents, but on top of that, we're supposed to have it all figured out. Like, we're supposed to be a generation that is at the top of our game. So therefore, the potential to feel like we haven't got our shit together is huge. Like, we basically can feel like we've failed at an epic level, because we might not have, the house that we were told that we should have, and the career that we thought we should have, or, like we've said, you're there and going, oh my goodness, this isn't actually what I wanted.
That was not for me. I did it all for another reason.
Yeah, that's not actually where I want to be. It's not where I thought I would be. And we started to question everything. So that's, a lot around why they call it a midlife crisis.
Mm-hmm. But it's not all doom and gloom, folks. You don't have to run off and get the new model.
Is that what you're going to do to me?
That could be car, could be girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. It's about reinvesting in yourself. It's about actually taking a good look at yourself and going, okay, what do I want from life? How do I move forward from here positively?
Yeah, and they're difficult questions, because a lot of the time, and we see this all the time, instead of actually addressing those issues and gaining some awareness around them, what we do is put sticky plasters on them and pretend they don't exist.
So our good friend Zoe, who will be a guest on this at some point in the future, put it brilliantly. Best of it is like putting it in the post. Something comes and you don't want to deal with it right now, you put it in the post that letter away. At some point, the mailman is going to turn up with a big sack for you that you just don't want to deal with. So we all do it, right? We all just like, okay, I'm going to suppress that. I'm going to close that down. I'm going to put a sticking plaster over it. I can carry on. And that will get you so far for the short term. But if you don't actually do the work, you're only storing up problems for later.
Yeah, and I think that's what we see a lot of the time, and that's what causes this immense, we're going to call it burnout. Again, like we see this a lot. That's why we're doing an anti-burnout retreat, which is a basic reset button in nature, because that burnout feeling, it doesn't just have to be in your career. So burnout is really talked about in the sense of your career, but it just could be that whole feeling of being in a life that doesn't fit with your self-identity. So you're there in a life that doesn't feel aligned with that sense of self. And I think that happens so much. And that suppression of that is also what causes burnout. That anxiety, that level of going, so I don't actually have to address the issue.
So the Daily Mash, satirical website that we love, actually did quite a post on this. It really hit home.
It was
and I think
really
will resonate with a lot of people out
hard-hitting.
there. It's like, man wakes up shocked to discover he has 2 children. It's basically like office worker Tom Logan. I know, not office worker, he didn't know. Tom Logan woke up one morning to find two kids bouncing on the bed. A woman in pyjamas came in and said, "They're your kids, I'm your wife." She then explained that the house we lived in had been bought with money borrowed from the bank and I had to pay it back until I died, and that now I had to get up and go to work in an office.
And there was a few swear words in there as well, in a job that I hate. How many of you out there can relate to that? You know, it is a terrifying feeling. And it's also something that we do understand. Like, James and I haven't always lived this lifestyle over in Ibiza. We haven't always just had... This lifestyle didn't just land on our plates. We were in that corporate treadmill in London for a really long time. And for me, James was kind of lucky. I absolutely hated what I did. And that job, that role did not fit with the essence of me, the essence of Claire. And for sure, you know, that feeling of burnout and that feeling of being trapped. You know, I didn't have children, but I had the mortgage. I'd completely fixed myself on a path financially, and I'd shoehorned myself into a life that didn't fit with the freedom that I wanted to have. And so we do understand how easy it's done, and it's a massive risk to even look at whether you are happy in your own life.
Yeah, I think, you know, modern life is very seductive, right? We're bombarded by advertising and marketing that tells you what the perfect life should be, and you get on that conveyor belt and you go for it. And maybe at some point you think, actually, this isn't for me. But we've been a bit doom and gloom here so far. It's like it's not too late. It's not too late to make a change. You know, if you are feeling that the situation you're in isn't for you, it's not too late to change it and do something positive about it. And actually think, you know, you still got like a massive portion of your life left. What do you want to do with it? What do you want to achieve with it?
And I was listening to something yesterday that I shared with James. You know, we talk about risk, and, you know, at midlife particularly, we're like, it gets riskier as we get older, right?
And as we get older, we become more risk averse.
Yeah, so we don't want to take a risk because we think we have so much to lose. Society tells us we have so much to lose because we built our whole identity around things and stuff and what everyone else has told us to do. So we have this massive fear around risking anything outside that. We've put ourselves in these little boxes, and that's where we fit and that's where we feel comfortable. But the thing is, let's flip it on its head. You know, what's the risk of inaction? What's the risk of not doing anything to change your health, for example, your fitness, the way you feel when you look in the mirror? What's the risk of the inaction of not doing anything about that? What's the risk of, you know, not starting that job, that business that you always wanted to start? There is so much stigma. Oh, be careful. Oh, don't do this. Oh, let's not do that. But actually, have a look at what your life looks like in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. What's that feeling if you don't act? Mm-hmm. What does that look like? What's that look like for your health when you're still comfort eating, or you're still on the yo-yo diet, and you know, still look in the mirror and you don't like what you see? You don't feel comfortable in your own skin. What's the risk around that?
And it's easy to let these fears run away. The true story here, there's a great so listening to you talking about risk. My mum is a very fearful person, so I'm just going back a little bit in time to, I think, 2007, 2008. Love her to bits, of course. I decided to leave my very good corporate role. I was very senior, and go off travelling around the world for 9 months to a year. Turned out 9 months in the end. And at the time, my mum actually gave me the talk. She said, "We're about to enter the worst recession the world has ever seen. When you come back, you'll have no money, no one want to hire you, you won't even be able to get a job cleaning toilets, and you're going to die penniless and alone on the streets.
True story.
True story. That was the fear story in her head. You know what? I went travelling anyway, and I had the best time. As it turned out, I missed the worst recession the world's ever known. It wasn't even the worst one. I'm sure the 30s were worse. I missed it, and I came back and got straight into a job straight in. You know why? Because I've got positive attitude, and I've got skills, and I've got qualifications, and I don't let those fear stories play, but they're natural. They can play. That's a really extreme example. Thanks, Mom. But we all let these fear stories play in our head. But, you know, if you let the fear win, if you let that voice be the loudest, then, you know, what are you losing?
Yeah, and the comfort zone that you've put yourself in, all those little boxes, you know, you're never... I said this in a live I did a little while ago. You know, one of the biggest mistakes I see with the midlife women that I coach, and James obviously coaches midlife men, one of the things that I see a lot is... I'm going to wait until I feel more confident. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. And, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're waiting for anything. Confidence, time, money, you will never get it unless you step outside and make the jump. Confidence, for example, doesn't come from... It's not a feeling. It's something you have to cultivate. And you can only cultivate that by moving forward or moving outside your comfort zone. That's what gives you confidence, because you're like, yeah, I've achieved that. And again, I'm going to relate this to, you know, a fitness goal, for example, if it's on your, you know, amazing list of things to do, to run a marathon, certainly not on mine. But, you know, if that's on your bucket list of things to do, you know, that gives you the confidence. And what are you capable of next? What are you capable of next? What are you capable of next? Because as human beings, we are designed for growth. We are designed for expansion. So you sit there in your tiny world that feels comfortable, but kind of feels uncomfortable, doesn't feel like you, but you sit there, and that's what the niggling feeling is you were designed to expand and become more, but you're not allowing yourself to become more. And you're waiting for things like confidence and money. It's not going to happen, guys and girls. It's just not.
It's not. The right time is now, not when you think it's the right time.
Yeah, because
we all get conscious. But so many clients we speak to are just like, you know, I'm just waiting for this. When this thing's happened, when this thing... You know what? Time is the one resource you never get back. You cannot buy more of it. You never know how much of it you've got. So, like, waiting for something is the biggest false economy that there is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some positive steps you can take. So I think let's look at some different levels. So first of all, there's body goals. And one thing I see all the time in my peer group, middle-aged guys, is just kind of like, this is just the way it is. I have back pain and my belt is 2 notches, 3 notches, 4 notches bigger. That's just how it is when you get to this age. No. That's how it is if you let it be like that. That's how it is if you let it be like that. Listen, there are people in their 70s that are still training hard every day and look amazing and have full flexibility and full mobility and like minimize the pain and aches in their body because they're staying mobile, right? The biggest mistake we can make, particularly if we're in a sedentary profession, is to stop moving. Stop moving. As human beings, we're designed to move. And if we're spending all day sat in a chair and then we're not doing any exercise, look, we all know about the general health, and it's like, you know, if your cardiovascular fitness declines, your metabolism gets slow. But guys and ladies, as we age, from about the age of 35, we are losing our muscle mass, which means we're losing our strength, which is losing our metabolic rate. All that is going on. At the same time, our bones are becoming less dense. We're becoming more brittle. So ask yourself, the quality of our life, thanks to medical science, the length of our life is getting longer and longer and longer and longer, but it's about the quality of it. Do you want to live to 100, but have spent 75 to 100 sat in a chair with aches and pains and not being able to move? Or do you want to maybe go to 100, but have gone up to 99, still going for runs and moving your body? So it's not too late to start. And what I urge you all to do now is like, just think a little bit about whether you are getting enough movement in your life. It doesn't have to be a crazy fitness schedule by any means, does it, Claire? Doesn't
No.
It could just be simple as like making sure you get out for a walk at the weekend. I mean, we work with a lot of people that have different goals, different timings, but first step, are you moving your body enough in your life? Because if you're not, that's going to create some mental issues for you in the first place anyway.
I was about to say that. Like the mental health side has obviously been proven. We don't need to go into all the stats around, mental well-being and about exercise and about getting out in nature. There's a stat that 93% of our time as human beings, of our life, is spent indoors. And there's so much feedback about getting outdoors, getting out into nature, moving your body. We don't necessarily need to do anything crazy, but just breathing in the air, like actually resetting in nature. There is so much to be said for the mental wellness around exercise and moving your body. One of the other things as well is one of the top tips that we always give people is just stop making excuses. Going to be really, really blunt with you. It is in your control and it is your responsibility to change. And if you use, I can't find the time to fit in, my mental well-being strategies, of which we will talk about throughout this podcast series as well. We're always going to go back to the mental well-being strategies that James and I use on a daily basis. But I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to plan my food. I grab food on the run. It's absolute bullshit, guys. I'm sorry. There are plenty of people out there with far less time and far more responsibilities and far more going on with their life that don't use that as an excuse not to regain control of their health. So you're not going to find time, you're going to make time. So that's why one of our strategies is on a Saturday or a Sunday, a weekend at any point, if you've got hectic lifestyles, like we all have, plan what's coming up in the week and make it a priority. Schedule it in. Look at your calendar and make yourself a priority.
Here's the ironic twist, right? We're all driven to make loads of plans and scheduling and stuff for our work, for our jobs, probably. Most likely, most people listening here have a schedule. They know when they've got to turn up to work. They know when meetings are, etc., etc. We don't do it for our personal lives. We don't do it. We don't put in those workout times. We don't put in those times just to sit and connect with ourselves. And, on a personal level, that saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, is so, so true. And we see this all the time. Clients like, I won't put the workout in because of this. You know what? Schedule it, put it in, and you'll be committed to it.
Yeah. And that even goes for, listen guys, again, we're all about balance, okay? So it's Mental Health Week. We're all about balance. The reason we often feel completely all over the place is because we don't have balance in a lot of areas of our life. So I was about to say about drinking, right? Anyone that knows us, if you don't know us, we probably talk about this a lot. James and I like to have a little drinky. We're not very good at our drinking alcohol. Sadly, we are absolute lightweights. I'm a really cheap date. But, again, we work with a lot of people that have busy lives and they need to entertain or they have social lives. So again, don't use that as an excuse. I go out and I have drinks in the pub and this and that. That is in your control. On a Sunday, Saturday, plan what's coming up and plan when you're going to have a drink. Because you can still drink, but don't just go on autopilot. We are a bundle of habits and behaviours, and nothing is ever going to change on the outside unless you change on the inside. So there's some habits and behaviours you need to be aware of and plan. Those are those little things that are going to throw you off, but if you have a strategy for dealing with them when they arrive, you're back in control. And as human beings, we like to be in control of our environment, and that's how change happens.
We're talking here mainly about the exercise component and mindset. More and more people are recognising the positive effects of exercise for treating mood and even depression. It's being prescribed in forward-thinking places for helping treat depression. Because when we exercise, when we move our bodies, we actually create feel-good hormones, endorphins, that will make us feel better. And there's been loads of clinical trials now that exercising, moving your body does help alleviate the symptoms of depression and makes people feel more positive. And Claire, you've got personal experience of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have. And actually, it's really important to know, like we said earlier, James and I haven't always lived these lives. I mean, James and I have been on our own journeys before we came together. And, people might look at our lives and go, oh, look at that. But I'm not going to lie, it's been hard. And there's been some real ups and downs. And we've been through our struggles even together. I don't mind us saying that. As in a relationship together, there's been struggles there, but on our own as well. And I was, before I got together with James, I went through a divorce. I went through a really, really difficult time. And quite frequently, sadly, when you go to doctors and say, I'm not coping very well, the immediate thing is to throw you antidepressants. And that's exactly what happened to me. And, you know, I was doing my exercise a little bit. I was qualifying to be a PT, a nutritional advisor at the time. And I really noticed that it just numbed everything. I wasn't happy, I wasn't sad, it just numbed everything. And I was on them for about 6 months. And it was a really hard thing to come off them, and I would never recommend this, but I came off them like that, which again caused some really bad side effects for me personally. And my exercise and my nutrition, my exercise, my lifting, going into the gym and doing weights, again, it's not everyone's bag, but it saved me. It completely saved me, and that was my medicine. That's what saved me and enabled me to come off the antidepressants and make a choice. And I'm not, by the way, saying that antidepressants are bad, full stop. Sometimes they can save lives, and sometimes they're very, very important to help people. So I'm not but I just find it quite distressing from even the midlife women that I coach. So many of them, they've gone and said, I'm finding it difficult to cope at the moment. We're in midlife. We're asking ourselves lots of questions. Our body's not responding in the same way. Blah blah blah. Here's some antidepressants, and they just handed those in beta blockers and stuff like that. So yeah.
I mean, exercise is anti-stress, antidepressant, plus all the health benefits. So that's your first task. Have a look about how you can get more movement into your day. If not, start some sort of program.
Yeah.
Because the other thing, and we're going to branch now into kind of like nutrition, I think, and then probably into more mindset. But like, is you are wrapped up in your self-image, and if you're not happy with your self-image, then that's going to overspill into so many areas of your life as well and cause you mental health issues. And that's if you're not liking what you see when you look in the mirror, then you know what, you either need to shift your perspective so you do start to like it, and or do something about it. Right? If you don't like what you see, do something to change it.
And it's really important, sorry to jump in, darling, we have this sense that actually just being focused on the aesthetic is somehow, especially us midlifers, right? I don't necessarily think, I don't know whether I'm generalising, but as midlifers, we think it's selfish to want to focus on how we look. But actually, it's the least selfish thing you can ever do. Because if you look in the mirror and you like what you see, you're comfortable in your own skin, imagine the powerhouse you are to your family, how much nicer you are to be around. That kind of energy that you're giving off to your husband,
your confidence,
your wife, your confidence, your work. You're more successful. I swear that when you feel good and comfortable in your own skin, you are even more. You'll make more money.
Undoubtedly, look, we've both trained clients that a few weeks in, they're like, I am looking, I'm moving differently. I'm moving. People are saying like you're carrying yourself differently,
totally.
And that's like a new confidence that comes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we should talk about nutrition a little bit and that on mindset. So
and how that affects mental health as well.
A poor diet is going to affect your mental health. Again, we won't get deep into this. We're going to do other podcasts on nutrition. But like, if your diet is bad, if you're putting lots of processed food in, lots of sugars, lots of stuff you know instinctively is not great for you, how are you going to feel about yourself? And listen, we've all been there. You have that terrible day, so you get home and you inhale a tiramisu to yourself. But guess what happens? You feel happy for about 10 minutes. Then you're just like, oh, why did I do that? And then you start beating yourself up. So it's not about cutting these foods out completely. It's just about taking a balanced view to it and being like, okay, so you're moving more. Have a look at what you're putting into your body and think, where can I clean that up? How can I be nurturing myself through healthy, wholesome, nutritious food, and not going without the stuff that I like but I know isn't great for me, but just dialing it back a bit. Which brings us easily into alcohol and booze, I guess. Clezo said, we love it. It's great.
We love it. There's a statement.
It does help really stress, but it can become too much of a crutch, right? We can start to lean on it too heavily. And the thing we see with clients a lot as well is they think, I've had a stressful day, I want a glass of wine, 2 glasses of wine, a bottle of wine, that will help me relax. Maybe the first half a glass will, I'm never going to say don't, but more than that, no, it's not. And people are like going, I drink lots of wine before I go to bed to help me sleep. It's still going to stimulate you.
Yeah.
So just be mindful, which I think is a good phrase for mental health. Mindful of what you're putting into your body. So,
well, all your happy hormone, your gut.
Yes.
Your
neurotransmitters are produced in the gut. The bulk of them are in the gut.
Exactly. So actually, they're sending signals to your brain. They are sending signals all around your body, and that's where your happiness sits, in your gut. That's why we have things like IBS. That's why we have, when people say, I'm feeling really anxious, and a lot of the time they hold their stomach. Again, we see this a lot with NLP and things like that. People hold their stomach. And it's because that's where your happiness is produced. Literally, it's where your happiness is produced. And if you're not taking care of what you're putting on in the inside, then, your mental health is going to be massively impaired. And this is another thing. Again, we will talk about this throughout our podcast series. This is why we are so anti-fad diets. People say to us all the time, do you do intermittent fasting? Do you do the keto diet? Do you do this? Do we do that? Do you do this? No, we don't at all. We don't count macros. We're not militant. We have a flexible eating approach. Why? Because we want to be happy. And that, these restrictive diets, again, I know James has done these crazy diets. I certainly have. I yo-yoed between being incredibly, incredibly ill, like 6.5 stone at certain stages in my 20s, all the way up to being 2 dress sizes bigger than I am now, on a constant yo-yo, tried everything. And I totally messed with my emotional state, and I completely messed with my metabolism, and had an incredibly unhealthy relationship with food, which does nothing for your mental well-being, because these diets, we go on them, they're so restrictive, you will always fail. You will always, at some point, fall off the wagon because they're so restrictive.
So don't go on a diet. I mean, if you're not, this is the thing, if you're not feeling happy in yourself, one of the worst things you can do is then go on a really restrictive diet. It's going to make you even more unhappy. You're focusing on the end goal there, and you're not enjoying the journey. And you know what? You can lose, I'm not even say the weight, the body fat, and get yourself in shape without doing that to yourself, without being that restrictive. So there are ways to do it, and that's how we coach our people to do it.
And when you rebound, because you will, you're just like beating yourself up. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I've fallen off the wagon again. I can't believe, I can't stick to anything. Your self-esteem just plummets again, really, really impacting negatively on your mental well-being.
Mental well-being, let's move now to the big one, stress. Particularly for midlifers, and the role it plays in your happiness, right? So we all have stress in life. So there's an interesting hormonal response. When we face a stressful situation, a high-stress situation, we produce adrenaline and cortisol, basically to help us fight or flight, which, again, we'll spend another podcast looking at. The thing is now we live in a time where we're experiencing medium to high levels of stress constantly. Whether that's through your work email pinging away, we're never off. We're always in, whether looking at social media, family concerns, relationship concerns, and that stress response is not meant to be running all the time, ticking away. When we produce that amount of cortisol, we're actually going to have negative body effects. We're going to start to break down muscle tissue. We're going to put on more body fat. And of course, the mental aspects of stress. You can be so stressed you can't even think clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, this is something we will touch on, like James said, but we need to start looking at areas of our life because we are responsible. You are responsible for your own life. And trying to play the victim ain't going to do you any good. So it's the little things that we share with our clients that will make a big difference. We're talking the digital age. We're talking your phone, that little thing that you carry around with you that is literally stuck to your hand, stuck in your pocket. You're on it constantly. That level of stress where your access to emails is at a click of a button. Most of you are looking at that screen just before you go to bed. Your emails, your social media causing massive amounts of stress. Comparison, the thief of joy. Looking at everyone else's perfect lives.
I think we're going to a whole podcast on social media
and the negative effects of it. But the stress that we are in control of, that is in our lives, there are certain things that we can start reducing, like not looking at our phones just before we go to bed, for example, putting it outside our room to charge.
I was going to say, the thing with stress is it's so toxic that we become so stressed we don't even want to look at what's stressing us and don't even want to think of a way out. In a way, it becomes so normalised, we become comfortable with it and we become attached to it in a way. So I'd say
Yeah,
a challenge,
totally.
a good
It's like the
challenge
drama.
for
We
you
like the
right
drama.
now. Yeah, the drama. You know, who's
I'm
right
busy,
after that?
I'm busy.
This has happened, and then every day you find yourself talking about
I'm
it.
so busy.
Oh, you get home, you're like, you won't believe what happened in work today with this thing,
Yeah.
because that's
It's
the thing
starting
you're
to
playing into
define you.
stress. What I'd like you to do, little tip, Claire might correct me. Just when you've got time, grab a bit of paper, write down the top 3 stresses in your life right now. Just write down what the top 3 stresses are in your life, and then have a look, sit with them, and look at ways you can alleviate them, because doing that will massively help you with your mental health.
Yeah, meditation apps, all that kind of stuff. Again, we are going to touch on all of this. But yeah, the stress element of our lives is just epic, on epic proportions. And it's a cyclical thing. It will touch on your mental health, your physical health. And that's why, you know, we do talk about stress quite a lot on our retreats and with our coaching clients and things like that. So
I think we should wrap up now, maybe just summarise what we've talked about there.
We talked about a lot.
A lot. Let's try and make some points from it. I think number 1, midlife. It's not the end, and it's not the beginning of the end.
It's a chance to
beginning of something
redefine
new.
yourself.
So have a look. Have a look at the goals you want to achieve. Actually, grab a bit of paper off this. Write down a goal you want to achieve. Doesn't matter what it is. Write down a goal you want to achieve, and then figure out the steps you're going to take to get there. I'd say that's number 1.
Yeah. Go.
I would say number 2.
He's doing all of them.
Well, number 2. Sorry, exercise.
I'm
Figure
only kidding.
out where you're going to move your body more, and that could be anything from, you know, committing to a walk once a week or a bike ride, to actually going, you know what, I'm going to get a training plan in place because I actually want to change my body composition.
I think another one is stop making excuses. Be really honest with yourself. Have a good hard look at what's going on in your life and what you have control over, and stop making excuses.
That's 3 points. 4 points. Have a look at your diet, clean it up, get rid of the stuff that's not really serving you, but without going stupid restrictive and trying to get rid of everything.
Yeah, and stop waiting for the perfect time. That's number 5. Because guess what? I'm going to try and not sound negative here, but you are midlife, guys and girls. And the rest of your life can be the best of your life, but you need to start now. Keep waiting for time, money, confidence, energy. You need to go out and grab it.
Counting down here, and I've got 2 things I want to say. Last point is number 6. Number 6 is about the stress. Write down your 3 top stresses, get rid of them. My last point, which will really help, it takes practice, it's going to take time. Every morning, set yourself 2 to 5 minutes, write down a gratitude list. Just at least 5 things in your life, no matter how small, that you are grateful for. And over time, that will shift your thinking and help you with your positive mental health.
Because what we do is we spend so much time focusing on where we're going, we don't even notice what is in our present moment and the wonderful things that we should be grateful for right here and right now. So that's our little tip.
7 points. Yay!
Anyway, we are sending you so much love and
positivity.
Love and positivity on this mental health week.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you, so drop us a line with any questions or suggested topics at info@themidlifementors.com.
Stay happy, stay healthy.
Yeah.